fire bullets made of the same material as the exhibit bullets to wit CMJs. But he fires 8 tests. 2 FMJs from PNP or PNP, 2 6-hour, 2 ANG, and the others he said he forgot at the time he testified they are not noted on his worksheet, so they remain of undeterminate manufacture. That's the background to this test that you are given. So you are not given TB1 and TB2 that were fired by all of them. But as to the class, when I say you are disingenuous, all of them are 9mm because the alleged firearm is capable of firing 9mm. So the class characteristics are already there. Right? Now let me take it from here. The reason I'm asking you how long it took for you to compare the test fires amongst themselves and to compare the exhibit bullet with all the test fires is the following. Colonel Mangena has testified in this court to say this was a tedious job to do, a comparison. Eyes become tired, he will compare some. When the eyes get tired because he doesn't want to make mistakes, he'll pack his work and resume tomorrow or whenever his eyes have been refreshed. You, Fesser Felun Khrobla, in a space of, I don't know how many because you can't determine the time that you took, but the 3 of you, within 1 day, that took Colonel Mangena, he seasoned Colonel Mangena, a bit of time to go through and compare to make his conclusions correct, according to him, not according to us, according to him. It took you say how long?
I've never mentioned time, my lord.
Exactly.
Angaze ke ngisisho isikhathi ukuthi ke kwangithatha isikhathi singakanani mina ukuthi ke ngikwenze lokho.
And I don't know the sequence of the opinions that he sought. Were you the first one? Was it Fesser? Was it Khrobla? Feljun? I don't know. But within how the day of the 22nd, all 3 of you had already rendered an opinion to Colonel Mangena, irrespective of whether you knew or not that he approached 2 other people, right? On the 22nd, you rendered an opinion to Colonel Mangena on this exhibit. Correct?
I'm listening, my lord.
I'm saying correct.
That is correct.
Kuyiqiniso nge-22 July 2020 ilanga lelo nganikeza ngalo uKolonel Mangena uvo.
Captain Khrobla has testified in this court that also herself on that day she rendered an opinion on these findings to Colonel Mangena. So that's undisputed. She's already testified in this court about that. That one I'm telling you is a fact, right?
I'm listening, my lord.
Ngiyakuzwa ke uma uthi uKolonel Khrobla naye, so Captain Khrobla wanikeza naye ngovo ngalelo langa lelo.
The third person, we are told they are incapacitated. So, but be that as it may, they also rendered an opinion to Colonel Mangena on the same day. That's what we've been told by the state. Right? So, hence my insistence that sometimes things like diaries, note-taking, because we are not there at the time we do these things. They come to us later on in trial matters. The court needs to come to the bottom of this matter. You understand? Now, you say you employ the pattern matching method in order to arrive at your decision that there's either one of the 4, there's an inclusion, there's an elimination, there's an inconclusive, and fourthly, there's a not suitable for comparison, that is a damage, either bullet case, cartridge case, or a projectile, correct?
That is correct, madam.
Ngishilo ukuthi ke ubheka ke nokuthola uma ufike ke kusinoma ke sebenzisa yona ke lo hlelo kolibizwa ngokuthi ke pattern matching.
And that pattern matching you apply it because it's under the auspices of the AFTI, that is the Association, International Association for Firemarks and Examiners and Tool Marks Examiners internationally, right?
That is correct, my lord.
Sebenzisa yona ke ngoba yona ke ngaphansi ke valentela ke noma lo hlelo kolibizwa ngokuthi ke AFTI.
Now I want to break down this pattern matching. I've tried to do it with your colleagues, but it's somewhere I get jaded along the route as they explain. You employ pattern matching, one, to evaluate first the class characteristics of both the known and unknown samples. Will I be correct? Because now here I'm asking you, I'm not giving you my opinion, I'm not a ballistic person. Should I repeat it again?
You can repeat it again.
You employ pattern matching. Firstly, you do it for 2 reasons, and the first one that I'm giving you is this one. You use it to evaluate the class characteristics of the known and the unknown samples, right?
That is correct.
Lana ke ukubheka ke ama characteristics lana ke alama sample azwayo nala futhi angaziwa.
And then if the class characteristics do not match, for example, if the samples have different numbers, say for example, a fire, as you gave the example of Captain Krobler, if the lengths and grooves and the rifling is different, say for example, the lengths and grooves on your specimen are 6, and the rifling is the right twist, and on your test it's 5 and the twist is left, immediately we say, no, this is not the class that we are looking for, because they are different, right?
That is correct.
Manje ukuthi ke uma usubheka utholeke ukuthi kunomehluko ekhona ke namagolozi ngokwe number ke yalapho ila usho khona ukuthi cha lokho ke akusiyona ke into eyodwa noma kuhlukile.
Now if however the class characteristics match, now that's where you kick in as an examiner, right? You now take the samples, the exhibit bullet or cartridge case and the test fires, you take them now to examine and compare them under the so-called comparison microscope, correct?
That is correct, my lord.
Kodwa kuma usuthola ke ukuthi ke kuyahlangana ila usuthatha khona ke manje usuzoyezibheka kuyona ke i-microscope la esiqhathanisa khona.
And at that stage, you use the pattern matching to determine one, if any marks are subclass or individual characteristics, right?
That is correct, my lord.
Ila manje usubheka khona ke ukuthi lama marks ke ila marks ke ama ahlangeneke noma ayihambela ngawodwa.
And secondly, you also look at the level of correspondence between the marks on the specimens, on the exhibit bullet, as in our case, and the test fires, correct?
That is correct, my
Ila
lord.
usubheka khona ke manje ke ukuthi ke futhi ke ne-level noma izinga ke la ukuhlangana khona phakathi kwayo ke inhlamvu le-exhibit kanye futhi nama-test.
And having done that, then you will, having compared, you then come to the last stage, which is now to make a conclusion, and those conclusions I've already set them out with you. They are in accordance with the FT range of conclusions, correct?
That is correct, my lord.
Suqedile ke lapho ila ke manje uya ke manje emaphethelweni ke ukuthi ke utholeni.
And according to what you use as your guide, as your radar, the FT theory of identification, it says you can only make a positive identification when there is a sufficient agreement, right, between the two samples, the exhibit bullet and the test fires, to come to a determination that this firearm fired this bullet, the source of energy, correct?
You are correct, my lord.
Ila usuthola khona ke manje ukuthi ke kunokuvumelana okwaneleke ukuthi ngempela ke lenhlamvu ke ekuyona iyatholakala kundawo yesigameko kanye nalezi ezisetshenziswa njengama-test ukuthi ke kubuya kwisibhamu esisodwa.
Now, I'm not going to ask you about what sufficient agreement is. You've covered it with my learned colleague, Advocate Sibanda, and I'm not going to ask you about the best agreement. My point is to come to, and you've already said you did not make notes, right, when you did the comparison between the exhibit bullet in this case and the test fires that were provided by Colonel Mangena, right?
That is correct, my lord.
Now, of TB3 to TB10, which ones? Let me give you imaginary within those. Imaginary TB1, TB3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Which one had the best profile of marks that you compared and came to an identification that is a positive match?
My lord, as I've explained that I did not record anything. I cannot recall which one it was, my lord, because I've stated that I did not record anything, and I even got a name. So I did not record anything, and I cannot recall which one.
Bengishilo ke ngaphambilini ukuthi ke umbuzo ke othi yiphi ke kulama test ke okwaba yona ke othola ke ama marks wona ke ongathi wasebenzisa ukuqhathanisa ngishilo ngathi ke ngibhalanga lutho phansi.
Now, without notes, recordals, worksheets, without charts, we don't know the marks that you saw, because we have procured an expert, and whatever yourself, Colonel Mangena, Professor Captain Krobler said you saw, we were keen to hand them up to our experts and said, for example, Captain Mangena said he compared the exhibit bullet with TB5 and TB9 to make his identification. Colonel Serayo compared the exhibit bullet with TB4, TB8 to come to an inclusion. And further, Sereo expanded his testimony to say, between TB4 and TB8, the best profile marks that he saw were on TB8 compared to TB4, and TB8 is an FMJ. So that sort of information directs us to instruct our expert properly, to assist us to come to some sort of evaluation of the ballistic evidence. But without those notes, all we have is what you say now. They understand. There's nothing else, correct?
My lord, as explained previously, that Colonel Sereo, after his verification, wrote down. So he will use that pro forma to refresh his memory. Colonel Mangena also wrote his pro forma as well. So they will use that to refresh their memory. With an opinion, we don't write when we are giving an opinion.
Bese ngishilo-ke ukuthi-ke uKolonel Sereo uzobhala phansi-ke kunala abhala phansi khona-ke ila akwazi ukuthatha khona-ke lokho abheke ukuthi wabhalani. uKolonel Mangena naye-ke uzokwenza lokho ubhala phansi-ke ila athatha khona abheke. Kodwa kuthina-ke abanikeza ngovo akukho esikubhala phansi.
In fact, you said an opinion, it's an informal process. So your testimony here is also an informal process.
I cannot comment on that, my lord.
Now, having given that opinion, you took it to Colonel Mangena. Did you know at the time the nature of the case for which you were providing the opinion?
When I was providing that opinion, I did not know, my lord.
Ngesikhathi enganginikeza ngovo ngaso ngangingazi ukuthi yiliphi icala noma icala ekanjani-ke lelo enginikeza uvo kulona.
When did you learn that this was the so-called Mxolisi case?
He told me after I've done the microscopic opinion, my lord.
Wasengitshela kamuva-ke sengikwenzile-ke ukuqhathanisa lokho kuyona i-microscope ukuthi ilona-ke icala likasenzo.
That will be on the 22nd of July 2020.
I should think, yes, my lord, it was on that day.
Yebo,
Same day.
kwangalelo langa lelo ke langa 22 July 2020.
So for you, the wheel had come full circle. You'd attended the scene. Now you are giving an opinion on the bullet from that particular scene. You see that? The wheel has come full circle. For you.
I don't understand the meaning of this, my lord.
It's English. It's fine. Now, you mentioned, I believe, in your evidence in chief, that Colonel Mangena, besides being one of your superiors, and superiors I mean at work, he was also your mentor, correct?
That is correct, my lord.
Ngishilo-ke ukuthi-ke uKolonel Mangena-ke wakuyena-ke owayengibonisa-ke bekuthiwa phecelezi-ke i-mentor emsebenzini.
Now, in this instance, the mentor says to the mentee, have a look here. Give me your 2 cents worth on these findings. And lo and behold, the mentee comes with the same conclusions and findings that the mentor had arrived at.
My lord, I can be a mentee, but I'm qualified.
Lana-ke lona ekuyena-ke obonisayo-ke noma-ke ofundisayo uza-ke kulona-ke amfundisayo ukuthi-ke awubhekele lana-ke usho-ke wena ukuthi olakho uva ukuthini kodwa-ke mase ubuya-ke wena-ke ofundiswayo kulo okufundisayo ukuthi imiphumela-ke iyafana. Yebo ngingawuyena-ke lo oqeqeshwayo noma-ke oboniswayo ofundiswayo kodwa-ke nami ngiseqophelweni lokuthi-ke umsebenzi ngingawenza.
And lastly, on this aspect, it says you arrive the theory of identification. An examiner arrives at a conclusion based on scientific principles, their experience and judgment, correct?
That is correct, man.
And there's a provision to that which says that arrival using those, the scientific principles, the experience and the knowledge is subjective, right?
That is correct, man.
Futhi-ke lo msebenzi-ke noma-ke lokho ofinyelela kona-ke kuyinto-ke esingabheka noma engabukwa.
Now, the interpretation of those marks and striations between the exhibit bullets and test fires 3 to 10, according to that last principle of identification, it says it's subjective. Another examiner may look at the same samples and arrive at the different conclusions based on the third principle, correct?
That is correct. It will depend on his level of expertise and experience, skills and training a lot.
Lokho ukuthi-ke omunye-ke umcwaningi usengabheka-ke lokhu afinyelele-ke kokuhlukile kunalokho ukuthi yebo kuyiqiniso kuya ngokuthi-ke ulwazi lwakhe-ke analo noma-ke useqophelweni yini ukumayela nomsebenzi lowo.
On that aspect, like I told you, we've retained Mr. Dave Peterson. Do you know him?
If he's the one that he once worked at ballistics, then I know him.
Uma Dave Peterson kulona-ke wake wasebenza kuma-ballistics ngiyamazi.
He's the same one. we've retained him to assist us regarding ballistics in this matter. He came to court, and an order was made by the court that he must have access to the ballistic material and samples that you had, including exhibit TB1, TB2 that you did not have access to. And then him, Colonel Gininda, Brigadier Gininda, the investigating officer in this case, and Colonel Mangena attended at the forensic hub, which is Mr. Peterson's business, for him to do what you did, go through microscopic work in his office, and then finish us with an opinion. And the opinion that he has arrived at, and it's based on your last answer to say, based on another examiner's knowledge, skill, scientific principles, he can arrive at a different conclusion. And indeed, he arrived at a different conclusion to say, this is an inconclusive finding, because what he found was the following. There were discernible class characteristics that he found. He does not quiver or argue with that. But he says the individual marks that he saw were insufficient for him to make it inconclusive. Therefore, he cannot say either or the firearm in question in this case fired the exhibit bullet in this case. Do you want to comment on that?
No comment on that one, my lord.
Akukho engakusho uma uthi ke yena ke uDave Peterse wathola ke ngokwahlukileke lokho sakuthola ke ngoba yena ke esithi ke kwakunganele nokuthi ke ama marks ke yena ke ababona ke aye nganele manje ke isibhamu lesi kukhulunywa ngaso akusona ke esadubula ke akukho engakusho la.
My lord, thank you. I'm indebted to the court.
Yes, sir.
Those are the questions that I have for the witness.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
As it is the court, my lord, I realize that we only 20 minutes towards the lunch break, but I would have indicated, my lord, and this is from the solitude of my conscience, that it will be no harm to request that, owing to the fact that today is the last day of the sitting of the season, we probably park the bus now, because in any event, if I were to start to cross-examine Mr. Ntini, we'll definitely will go beyond the 3 o'clock, and then we'll have to pen my cross-examination and then come back again almost after 2 weeks, which I think, in all fairness, would not be good in the interest of administration of justice for me to do that to him. So I would suggest that when I start to cross-examine him, or when me and him start to engage, because I normally don't use I don't like to use the term cross-examination, it's engagement. When me and him engages, my lord, I think we need to have time to ourselves. Then if we're not done on the 7th, then we continue on the 8th, which would still be within a short space of time. But for today, my lord, I think I'm not so sure if there's an objection from the state and from my other colleagues as well, and from the other colleagues that are manning the machines and everything, the interpreter, Mr. Jonas, and the court orderlies, my lord, that if we take an adjournment for the day and then we come back on the 7th again, with a fresh mind, of course. Thank you, my lord.
Yes, Mr. Louis.
My lord, we are in the hands of the defense at this stage. We really wanted to make some progress with this witness, my lord.
What does that mean?
My lord, it's 12:43, and then from 2 to 3:30, we have almost 2 hours of cross-examination. Sure, we can make progress with this witness, and then when he returns on the 7th, then Advocate Nomalo can take over and Advocate Mxolisi and wrap up the evidence of this witness.
So this says it won't be finished today.
Then we'll finish on the 7th. Then Nomalo can proceed on the 7th. I take Nomalo, my apologies for this.
Yes, Mr. Nomalo.
I find it difficult, my lord, to proceed without my colleague Advocate Mxolisi commences cross-examination.
I think pretty commences to be able to proceed.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Mxolisi, what's your view?
My lord, I accept to the request by Advocate Mxolisi.
Okay. All right. Will you be still available, sir?
I will avail myself, my lord.
You will avail yourself.
That is correct, my lord.
Okay, maybe let's postpone because people say they won't finish. There's just one period so that you guys can attend to it. The evidence of a rule officer has been truncated by everybody here. Are you aware of it, Mr. Balloon? You are not aware?
Well, in which sense, my lord?
Hello?
Truncated?
Yes, truncated is English.
In which sense, my lord? It may wait.
Have you dealt with it?
Yes, he came here.
You have dealt with it, fine.
Yes, he came here and he testified.
Okay, I hope everybody else has dealt with it. Because if I recall rule officer's evidence, it says he fired about 9 plus 5 shots at one stage. You remember that, Mr.
Yes,
Mr. Ramosepele?
yeah, indeed, for the
You don't remember?
for the other case. For the
I
other
don't
case.
remember.
Yes. No,
And then he got 9 positives.
yes.
Okay.
In fact, Advocate Mxolisi did ask him on those findings.
Okay, fine. You heard me. Postpone to the, what's the date?
The 7th of October.
Yeah, the 7th.
Maybe 7th of October.